with all due respect for the lecturer and also the supervisor of my thesis, Mom Siti Aisyah, MBD. Today I'm Naufal Fachrur Rozi with number 168820302 and 1. I hereby presenting the result of my thesis proposal on Chapter 1, Chapter 2, and Chapter 3 with the title of Developing Students' Critical Thinking Ability by Using Debate as the Strategy of Learning. So in today's thesis seminar proposal, I would like to give the proposal of mine, especially what kind of research that I want to conduct, what about the problem, what about statement that I want to achieve, or what about the objective, what about the scope and the limitation, what about the method that I will use in my research. So hereby, let me present the result of my thesis proposal. When the first time I deal about the current status quo, especially I have to study certain phenomena. And the phenomena that I want to really capture in my research is that I consider this type of frameworks, or I consider this type of pyramid. You know, in the current educational system, not only in Indonesia, we all know that all around the world, that the concept of the thinking are also related to the educational system panders on taxonomy bloom. So the taxonomy bloom basically has 6 layers in the pyramids, right? In Indonesia, it's from C1 until C6. So when we are dealing with taxonomy bloom, we often think about the notion of the development of how to think, and also there are multidimensional layers. So consider the fact that Indonesia really pander on the taxonomy bloom's pyramid from C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, and C6. I think that the best form of its way, why this is the become the pander of the pyramid. We all know that we enter the barriers of the 4.0 era in which disruptive. And also we enter the 21st century, in which right now there are massively endorsed of 21st century skills. So this is basically the parameter in 21st century skill, how to create a foresee creative, critical, and also communicative and collaborative. So basically based on these patterns, we all knew the level of how to think properly. So dealing with thinking, my research concerns on the theme of thinking. So basically, if you deal with thinking according to Crackwell and Anderson 2001, it's basically have these 3 processes. First, we are dealing with the input, and then the process, and then the output. But let me emphasize what I want to majorly focus. What I want to majorly focus is on the process. Why? Process is a thing. This is what I consider. First, the genetic role of the process. Because humans cannot just simply produce something, or the outcome cannot simply just because the result of your input. Without a good thinking process, it is kinda really, it is not really benevolent for us. Because when you are not having a good thinking process, the genetic role of course, humans cannot create the proper ways of using the subliminal thinking. And also we consider the fact that the tangible mechanism in filtering any kind of possibilities, solving information, filtering information, solving any problems, we need a good process of thinking. And one of its ways is that what is really pending right now is that the invention of foresee 21st century skill that is being massively endorsed by educational system in Indonesia. And also the last is that it brings sustainability. Of course, when we are able to absorb any information, and then when we are able to capture our own interests, of course we cannot just simply take the information, we need to preserve it. That's why in my research I massively focus on the process of thinking, in which I really ponder why thinking is a thing. Because the process of thinking is like the decision maker of all the possibility that we will do in our futures act in our life. So that's why the massive endurance of educational system nowadays is really pandering that you should have a good way of thinking, especially thinking critically, because that is one of the abilities that you need to master, especially in 21st century skills. But what about Indonesia? Although Indonesian educational system right now with curriculums, all the massive unders, like for example the integration of 4C codes and that kind of thing. But realistically, in contrast, although we all knew that the mastery of the using 4C hot skill able to master the 21st century skill or having a very critical thinking. But realistically, in contrast, the data shows that on PISA, which is the latest data from 2015 PISA, and also it was published by OECD 2016, shows that we only rank from 62 out of 70 positions all around the countries that is participated. It shows us that the level that we achieve for the education system in Indonesia is far from the expectation. And we all know that this is something that we need to be really concerned. Indonesian government, all the people, all the future teachers, or the teacher needs to be very master on it. Needs to be very focused on it. Why? The current momentum is happening. So why this kind of thing can be a thing. So that's why the study and which has to conduct a research on finding the best way to use, for example, or to overcome this problem. So they use MOGE, for example, they on OGE as the way. There are numerous ways that researchers try to observe and also try to overcome these current issues. One of it like MOGE, problem mastering, and that kind of thing. But what I want to emphasize is that the framework that is presented by Freely and Steinberg in 2001. Freely and Steinberg believes that the use of debate is approximately the best way to achieve critical thinking or enhance students' critical thinking for more than 2,000 years. So that's why, in my research, why the variable of debate is what I want to emphasize. Developing students' critical thinking ability by using debate as strategy of learning makes me wake up, and I formulate 4 main statements of the problem, 4 concerns that I want to achieve. First, how are students' critical thinking ability before implementing debate as a strategy of learning to develop students' critical thinking ability? How are the implementation of using a debate as a strategy of learning to develop students' critical thinking ability? How are the students' critical thinking ability after the implementing of debate as a strategy of learning to develop student critical thinking ability? And the last, how are students' response using debate as a strategy of learning to develop students' critical thinking ability? So based on those 4 main statements of the problem, this research concerns on the implementation, and this research also follow and pursue the development progress of the students, and also at the end find out the response of the students, whether it is beneficial, whether it is benevolently good for them, or whether it proliferately sustainable and also benefit for them. So, in dealing with the statement of the problems and also what kind of research, where the way of the track of my research are going to be, I also emphasize that here for the first statement of the problems, finding the before implementing, I use pre-test, post-stage design, and also for the second part of the implementation, because I need to give a rich and deep knowledge and deep understanding and deep examining. Of course, I have to use observation and observation field notes. And also for the third, how are the students' critical thinking ability after the implementation? Of course, I have to find it in a like the same uniform manner as I put in the pre-test. So I use post-test, and then the last, because I want to find the response. I want to know more about the open-ended question, so I use questionnaire to find the student's response. As I told earlier that I have 3 variables that is like being integrated on the title of my future thesis, is that I have debate, learning strategy, and also critical thinking. First, about debate. What it comes in our mind when we are dealing with debate is that it is about the discussion that presents us 2 mutually exclusive point of view. Debate is also something that you will always be participated in the 2 sides of the understanding, 2 sides of discussion emotion. And also, what about the learning strategy? It's basically essentially is an approach. It's basically the way how you achieve, or the teacher and the student achieve something in the learning process. And then the last one about the critical thinking ability. It's related with the process of thinking, or the mode of thinking of you in creating or like examining in detail and in depth. So basically, these are the three operational definitions that I use based on the variable that I am put on my research title. Now we finally enter to the chapter 2 of my research. In the chapter 2, it will be contained of first the main theory and the supporting theory, and then the last, it will deal with the preface of the study. First, we are dealing with the main theory, basically because I am already mentioned earlier that I have three operational definitions. Of course, these three are the main theory of mine. First, we have debate. Second, we have learning strategy, and then the last, we have critical thinking ability. Now let's talk about the supporting theory, or the basis of knowledge, and also the foundation of I am creating my research. First, we are dealing with debate. The definition of the debate, the purpose of the debate, and the level of debate. I would like to discuss about debate first. As I mentioned earlier, Fraley and Sternberg believes that debate is approximately helping all the students all around the world in enhancing their critical thinking ability for more than 2,000 years. So debate is like the process of you and your team, and also there are, for example, in British parliamentary debate, a bench, a chamber will contain with 4 teams. They discuss one motion with two teams discussing on the pro side, or the government side, and 2 teams discussing about the con side or the opposition side. So basically, it's, as I mentioned earlier, that the concept of mutually exclusive is patterned in debate application. Because debate is majorly focusing on acquiring and absorbing a deep, rich knowledge, because they have to propose 2 types of side or point of view. So that's basically the framework of debate. So now, coming about the purpose of debate, of course, it is used to foster students' ability to think, to research, to examine, to deliberately, and how do they persuade each other, how they convince the adjudicators and also the audiences to believe on their point of view, to follow their side, to pursue the way they are seeing and thinking. And then the last is about the level of debate. Concern and notice that the kind of debate that will be applied in my research is British parliamentary debate. Of course, I need to find the credible and proper way of the parameter and the proxy, right? So I use this type of framework. This is what I use as the methods of scoring a level of debate. So I use based on the guidance book of National University Debating Championship. Of course, it has the very well calculated pattern, what kind of level, what kind of scoring, what kind of, the standard that we need to pursue and follow. So basically, this framework, by using the guidance book based on the scoring matrix of the guidance book of National University Debating Championship, I strongly believe that it will be very well suited and also well calculated for the future of my research, because my research will focus on the university students. Of course, the guidance or the method scoring at the level of debate needs to be, integrated with the current scoring that is happening in Indonesia. So there are around 5 levels. Of course, if I want to achieve and I want to develop, at least as the future or the research subjects that I hope and also put fully in hope, is that they can achieve the average level or in C level. But moreover, because this research is focused on development, at least A is the main target of my research. But even if you cannot achieve A, at least achieving C and B average and above average level is marvelous for us in today's research. Thesis seminar proposal. Talking again about the supporting theory. Now we are dealing with learning strategy. The definition of strategy and also definition of learning strategy. Basically and also fundamentally, if we deal about strategy, it's like the plan or the series of things that we have to do to strive our goals. That is strategy. But what about learning strategy? When in the classroom, learning process, we all know that based on Camp 1995, that we have to like a teacher and student have to create a plan, have to create a cyclical process in achieving some goals and achieving some aims of the study. So of course that learning strategy, as the basis for the strategy, is just like the sense of process, kind of activities that teachers and also students use to achieve some learning process. For example, they want to have the student to have a critical thinking ability. Of course, the series of activities should like able to utilize the possibility of students in enhancing their critical thinking ability. For example, by using debate, problem learning, problem-based learning, and that kind of things. And then the last that I want to discuss is supporting the area of critical thinking ability. We all know we are growing from thinking and cognitive categories of thinking, higher order thinking skills, critical thinking, purpose of critical thinking activities, critical thinking characteristics and components. First, about thinking. Thinking is, according to Anderson and Crackbull 2001, we already know that thinking relates to the mental activity of humans. It differentiates between humans and animals, because humans is the one that able to gather their intention and also perceive it in or change it in the form of written or form. So that's basically thinking. It has three cyclical process. For example, the first is that input and then process, and then also the output and outcome. So and then the categories of thinking is that thinking basically based on the book that I personally get from Wilford 1983. It is differentiated into two main group categories between critical and also creative thinking. If creative thinking deals with how one's individual creates something, innovates something, critical thinking dealing with the very deep evaluation, deep judgment. So both of creative and critical is blended into the one principle called higher order thinking skills. We all know the pattern of the parameter of higher order thinking skills penders on the taxonomy bloom, in which at least in higher order thinking skills, C4 or analyze is the main or the basic standard that have to be achieved. And then we continue again about the critical thinking. Now we enter what is critical thinking actually. As I mentioned earlier, it's about deal with how. According to Powell et al. 1993, it's dealing with how we can be able to gather our curiosity, our intention, our deep scrutinizing on certain phenomenon, issues, topic to find a solution, and we are finally able to create at least a sustainable effect, or sustainable and also beneficial effect in the future. So basically, if we deal with critical thinking, it enhances one individual to think deeply, but more than that, it also gathers the intention of the student, for example. When they are having critical thinking, they will be master of research, because they will be able to pay deep attention, and then they're able to display the data and the result in a very scientific and well calculated way. And also now dealing with, after we already know what is critical thinking and scope, we already now enter the purpose of critical thinking. Of course, the main way is that when we are achieving or having critical thinking, we have the feature of filtering. And with the feature of filtering, we are able, when we receive any information, we're not easily asked, okay, that is true and that's it. No, but if we have a filtering feature, of course, in the future it can give a sustainable effect, because in the future when we receive information or even false information, we will have an intention within our mind and our heart, and our consent will say that let's take a look and let's check it out. So we're not just easily accepted. So that's basically the purpose of critical thinking. Continue about the critical thinking activities, critical thinking characteristics, and also the critical thinking components. What about activities? Basically, if you are dealing with something that is discussing problems, analyzing the evidence, or assessing such as drawing conclusion, or even making a cyclical process, or finding a procedure, that's basically the activities of critical thinking, because it will pursue and demands the students to be very well aware of any kind of possibilities, whether it is good or not. That is what is the activities that is usually found in critical thinking. And what are the characteristics of critical thinker, for example? When people are critical thinking, they absorb all the information from many sources. They are feeling curious, they are having a very high curiosity, because they want to find something. They are not easily being tricked because they have their own belief, for example. So that's why most of the critical thinking are open-minded. They open for new knowledge, they open for new understanding, and they're not only pandering on one belief that they have. Because on the basis of critical thinking, of course, they need many and various multidimensional sources. So that's why critical thinking is definitely one of the skills and also the ability that needs to be mastered and needs to be owned. And it is massively, right now it's massively proposed and massively endorsed by a lot of educational system. And then talking about the characteristic of critical thinking. We already know about the characteristic of it. And love the components. The components of critical thinking, of course, when you are having critical thinking, you will be able to analyze evidence, analyze synthesizing some statements and synthesizing all that kind of thing. So basically, if we deal with components, it deals with the process of the critical thinking in fundamental. After dealing with the main theory and also the supporting theory, we are enter to the preface of the study. So in my study, because the variable is debate, I use the preface of the studies. First from Astri Wulandari. She is an undergraduate student from Sanata Dharma University, Yogyakarta, with the academic year 2017 with the title Students' Perception on the Use of Debate Activities in Improving Student Speaking Skills in SMA N 8 Yogyakarta. And the second preface study is Suti Nur Aini. She has the title of the Effective Method of Classroom Debate to Improve Student Speaking Skill, a quasi-experimental study in the 11th year student of SMA N 3 Seoul, Tangerang, and also the affiliation is from Syarif Hidayatullah State Islamic University, Jakarta, and also the year is 2014. No, why? It captures and I wholeheartedly choose both of these prefaces of the study. First, I have proof to consider. No, let's talk about the result of both of those prefaces of the study. It's like giving, strengthens the intention of mind in conducting the research. Because, the first preface of the study finding shows that there are no disagree when it comes to using debate is not beneficial. Both of the informants, most of the numbers are the majority of the informants or the respondents believe that they strongly agree. 62.5% strongly agree, and 37.5% agree. It means that debate is really helpful. Debate is proven by Freire Stenberg's statement, by Paul et al. Statement. It is proven. Also the second one, quasi-experimental study. Quasi-experimental study is comparing the control class and also the treatment class or the experiment class. And when the t-value, and the t-value is higher than t-table, of course the h0 or h0 is rejected and h1 is accepted. So this research successfully proved that debate is really helpful, and debate can able to improve, can able to develop one thinking skills and also one speaking skills. No answers about these kind of preface of study, of course. No, even although the variable is similar, the variable is same, there must be a dissimilarities and similarities. First, we talk about the similarities. First, I also mentioned that the variable is similar for each other. All of us using debate. In a major specific scope, all of us using debate as the variable, as the learning strategy, as the learning approach. But in a specific similarities, for the first preface study, we use the same instruments in which observations and also questionnaire. And for the second preface study in similar scope, in similar and also particular scope, more specific scope, is that we use the same instrument also. We use pre-test and post-test design. And now what about the dissimilarities that both of these preface study and mine? The dissimilarities in general is that the first is that the concentration of the research. My research focuses on the implementation and also pursue and also track the development and the process, and also finding the response, in which it based a very wide and wide scope and also deep knowledge. but both of these having different concentration. For example, first preface to study why it is dissimilar is that they only concern about the response of the students. And what about the second preface study is that they only panders on experimenting, like comparing both of the class, which one is being controlled and which one is being, not treated at all. So that's basically different concentration because mine is way much more wide and enriched and deep understanding. Now we finally enter to the chapter 3 or this thesis framework. So in this chapter I would like to discuss about the research design, and also I discussed about the instrument, I discussed about research subjects and research procedures. First, talking about research design, qualitative study. So let's characterize qualitative study. We all know that qualitative examine, deep, enrich some phenomenon, even in society. So basically the reasons why qualitative study is a proper choice, according to Cresswell 2007, qualitative study is with the intention of the main core of my research because it able to capture my own intention in creating a rich and deep exploration. And also I use the research design descriptive because I want to put it in the narrative form, in which in narrative form we can clearly see that according to Cresswell 2007 is that in narrative form and also the concept of written word in deep and also deep and rich understanding and in a wide scope. I mean, when the exploration can be feel really fully intentional. So that's why the use of descriptive qualitative is really able to capture the intention of mine that I really want to begin with is to create a research that will able to provide a very rich and deep exploration and examination. So despite of the fact that the tangible benefits of the descriptive qualitative, I have my personal reasons why I choose my research design pander on descriptive qualitative. Approximately, it took more than 3 years of mine feeling the atmosphere of debating. Approximately more than 3 years of mine learning how to case building, learning how the debating society works, learning also how to rebutting and refuting our arguments, learning how to working hard with my team in achieving how our arguments can at least top the score or the scoring and also the tabulations. Approximately I grew up as the person that has really no understanding about what is debate and how to debate, how to put argumentation. But because I have an intention on it and I can feel really heartwarming in the process of debate. I enter the understanding of the debate and then I finally found out how to case build, how to mastering debate, how to create an argumentation, and how can I finally able to find out that debate plays a gigantic role in my academic life. Because debate is one of the reasons why I can be successfully completing all the tasks and also can be able to publish and also write a scientific publication, for example. So basically debate plays a gigantic role. Debate is having its very significant essential role in the successful and it also proliferately enhancing my academic life. Because from the 2016 debate, the first time I debate, right now I can feel really the role of debate. When debate is really captures my intention, my curiosity, and then I can stood up today with the thinking that, and I can find able, something when something grows inside you, and then you finally able to find out. And debate is one of the major reasons why I am trusting myself. So basically why, based on this concentration, based on this power of conscience that I am personally experiencing, of course, I will put fully interest, I will put fully passion on this research because I have the basis of the prior knowledge of debate. Because I have a little expertise in understanding how debate works. So basically, because based on this background, I rely on one assumption that the future research of mine will be able to gather my intention, and at the end it will be beneficial because I have the background of it. So that's basically the major reason why descriptive qualitative can be able to gather, because what I want is providing a deep and rich analysis. Now we are dealing with the instrument. Basically, as I mentioned earlier, I have 3 instruments to use: observation, questionnaire, and pre-test post-test design. Now about the observation, we know like it is like series of event you are giving in a basically it can be captured in 5 sense, for example photograph or written. This observation is deep, deep scrutinization of phenomenon. So observation and also questionnaire, open-ended questionnaire is classified as direct data for my research because it is participant observation. So the participant or the research subject is involved towards the way of I achieve the data. So it is called as a direct data. So what about the indirect data of pre-test post-test design or the document observation? Of course, this is just a matter of task. So basically, in pre-test post-test design, I only acquire the result and also the document data. So I am not fully involved face-to-face and also feeling the atmosphere with the research subjects. So this is the instrument that I will use in conducting my research. Creswell 2017 points out that when we are formulating a research subjects, we have to be really mature and we have to make sure that this research is sustainable or this research is integrated with research subject or not. Because the fail or like the wrong place research subject can produce nothing for our research. So that's why I use purposive sampling as the basis fundamental in choosing the research subject. So I set several pre-required requirements in which all the research subjects should be fit into the requirements that I give. In which I know right now I want to provide a deep analysis and deep and rich analysis on debate. Of course, what I want to achieve with the varsity students and also the like the specific scope mode, the varsity student is the one who joined English Conversation Club or joined the English Debating Society. So based on this framework, the target why varsity student is choice is that because the positive and numerous positive externalities. When we enter the barrier of the varsity students, we will face 21st century skills in the current status quo, and also HARTS, hierarchy skill, debating champion, model United Nations, Wilma Press, PKN, academic publication, and that kind of things. So it means that those positive externalities can also be opportunity for the future, like when this can be sustainable effect for the future research subject, for example. So because I pander on the varsity students, of course, especially the target is the LPTK student. They are the future teacher, right? Can we imagine the future effect if I am conducting this treatment? Because the future effect, one day hopefully they will be able to provide the best or the most critical and also the like the suitable one with 21st century skill for their future students. So that's why varsity students is the main research subjects, because varsity student is entered and fully entered and the embodiment of the positive externalities, the numerous opportunities that are attached and also that are integrated with current status quo. Okay, the last component or the last explanation in chapter 3 is how the research procedure works in my research. First, in the data collection procedures, I have ethnography, ground theory, and phenomenology. It is based on Creswell framework. And also for the data analysis, I have data reduction, data display, conclusion, verification. It is realized in Sugiyano 2008 framework. Okay, now let's talk about data collection. Ethnography basically is how the researcher form a real life environment. So basically the researcher needs and required to have a prior knowledge. So me basically, because I have my background on debate, of course I can fulfill the ethnography side, ethnographic principle, because I can position myself in the real life environments. And also the research subject, as I told earlier, that is the debaters, for example, of the varsity students. Of course, the integration and also like the circle will be connected to each other. So that's basically the pattern of ethnography. Why it is such a thing and why it is important to create a real life environment, because it can bring a sustainable effect for the future steps that I have to take. Because if I have no intention, I have no master, I have no expertise on creating a real life environment, it is quite impossible for my research to be conducted well planned. And the second is the grounded theory. The grounded theory is basically the transformation after I enter the real life environment. I'm able to gather all the intention to create a real life environment. It is a trend from how this prior knowledge can be in the focus interview, focus discussion. So I get into the domain, I enter before I collecting the data. I enter to the comfort zone and we trusting each other in deep and examining its deep examination. And also next, after I really create a very conducive environment, it's time for me to collect the data to create phenomenology. So basically phenomenology is how to overcome the problems, is how to finally found out that ethnography and ground theory can be the foundation, and then how to collecting the data is based on the instrument. For example, observation, I have to prepare the field notes. For example, the question, I have to prepare the open-ended questions and validity. For example, when test hypothesis, I have to prepare the validity and also what kind of questions that I want to give towards my research subjects. So basically, this is how I collect the data. These three principles are based on Crystal. And then we continue about the data analysis. First, data reduction. Of course, when I am writing on my field notes, I'm writing on the open-ended question and also the pretest process. There are numerous data. There are a lot of data that is created and accumulated. Without a good way of data reduction, it is impossible to create a credible data. So that's why I have to classify, I have to identify the proper data, I have to analyze the proper data in data reduction. And then I continue with the data display. Because on the basis I use descriptive qualitative, of course the data display will be in the written form, in the narrative and explanatory form. So that is basically the data display. And then the last I report it in the conclusion, deriving and verification. This is the basis of the data analysis, of the final data analysis, in which I draw the conclusion and I also seek for the verification. For example, I also put the report, when the report should be legal and it has a very fully legal standard, and I have to fulfill in the conclusion-driven verification. So that's basically the cyclical process of research procedures of mine. Okay, we already discussed about the chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3 of my thesis matter proposal. Now we enter about the basis, or the bibliography of mine. First, I give a sign on each color. For the color of green is about the main theories are the main bibliographies of critical thinking. I collect from Anderson and Kerbel 2001, I collect from Ennis 1987, I collect from OECD 2016, I collect from Paul et al. 1993, and I'll collect from Sani and Bujas 2017. And then the second main bibliography for our learning strategy, I collect the Thesis Framework from O'Malley et al. In 2013. And then for the debate in the red color, I collect from the Direktorat Mahasiswaan, the Guidance Book of NUDC 2019, and also Freely and Steinberg 2005. That's for debate. And then the last main bibliography for research method. First, I use from Kraswell 2007, and also use from O'Malley et al. 1993. So that's basically the bibliography that I use and I utilize in my thesis, chapter 1, 2, and 3. So basically that's the framework or how my research is going to be, or the cyclical process of my research. For example, accumulating the background study and then finding the supporting theory, finding the previous study, and then the last, the method. So what I want to say here that I would like to give my deepest appreciation to my lecturer and my supervisor, Mom Siti Aisyah MPD, for accompanying me and guiding me, and then gather my intention to conduct and discuss about the main content, the intention of my research. So I'm Naufal Fachrur Rozi. I say wassalamualaikum.